Hello, welcome. We are here together. Welcome back to the first ever installment of Logic News, where we don't want to tell you what to think. We just want to give you the facts of the case. And that's what we've been doing with all the videos on executive orders and Supreme Court decisions and everything. However, on Wednesday, the government decided to drop 14 presidential actions and also do some Supreme Court decisions and lawmaking since that time. So I am now forced to become a YouTube personality to give you the facts of the case, which is what we want to do here. We don't want to tell you what to think. We just want to give you the facts of the case. So let's get into it. All right. Trade. We got an executive order modifying reciprocal tariff rates to reflect trading partner retaliation and alignment. So basically, U.S. slapped a bunch of tariffs on China. China retaliated, 84% tariff on the U.S. Now the United States says, hey, we're going to increase that tariff rate to 125%. So that's where the 145% number is coming from when you see the 125% tariff rate, including the original 20% tariff rate that was in place before we got into all this madness, let's say. Okay, so basically today, also just as an aside, not having to do with this executive order, today China did match that 145% tariff. As of the recording of this video, that is not instigated any response from the United States so far. And also to add that this also includes the pause on 75 plus countries retaliatory tariffs, etc. All right, so war. Now this third one, we'll get into it. So executive order, reforming foreign defense sales to improve speed and accountability. Basically, this is just improving upon and making more efficient the process by which the United States sells weapons to other countries, which is just great. And then executive order, modernizing defensive acquisitions and spurring innovation in defense industrial base. That is basically the same thing as the prior one, just improving the way that we buy weapons. So that is the news. We're objective about all of it. This is just the news, just the facts. So, executive order, restoring America's maritime dominance. Now, this one I included in war, but honestly, it's just general shipbuilding. So basically, the president is launching a massive campaign to revive shipbuilding in America. And one of the things that the executive order cites is that currently the United States is 1% of the shipbuilding production in the world. China is 50%. Also, an interesting little loophole they're trying to close here is where ships basically dock their ships in Canada or Mexico and then get their goods in the United States without having to pay port fees, which is not something I had ever really thought about. But basically, this bad boy is a long one. It's got a lot of sections, nuts and bolts. If you're in the shipbuilding industry, good on you. Here we go. All right. Supreme Court decision. This is the one you guys have been hearing about all the, basically all day today, probably. Noem versus Abrego Garcia. So this is Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and he was deported along with lots of other people. And the government is claiming that he is a member of the MS-13 gang, which was one of those that was designated a foreign terrorist organization recently. So he was deported in that batch of deportations. That was the planes going to El Salvador. There was a court order. They ignored it. That situation. So basically, the District Court of Maryland then filed an order saying that he had to be returned by the 7th of April. Then the government filed an application in the Supreme Court asking them to block that order. Now the Supreme Court says they ruled that the April 7th deadline, obviously that's passed, so they can't enforce it, but the government did mess up, and now they are responsible for facilitating the return or release from prison. This is where it gets a little interesting. There's going to be some back and forth on the wording of this, because already some people are saying that there's a difference between facilitating and effectuating and all that. But basically, this guy was not a documented citizen, but was granted protections by a federal immigration judge that granted him a withholding of removal order that says he can't get deported to a country where he will be persecuted. So I would guess that being shipped to a country where you're immediately going to be imprisoned is technically persecution. But again, these are just facts of the case. We're not telling you what to think here. All right, second side of the board, baby. Let's go. Still can't believe this is actually happening. We got a law alert, ladies and gentlemen. We got a law alert. House Joint Resolution 25. So basically, this is saying that, like stockbrokers that have to report certain financial information like gross proceeds, cryptocurrency exchanges also had to do that under a current regulation set forth by the IRS. And the Congress, under their powers through the Congressional Review Act, basically said, nah, that's not going to happen. You're out of here. So that's basically what that was. It's not that complicated, but it's a law, so it's exciting. It's like Schoolhouse Rock come to life. Interesting here, though. This was 67% pass rate in the House and 70% in the Senate. So it's, bipartisan. Or partisan. No, bipartisan. Okay, regulation. Big regulation week for us. We have the reducing anti-competitive regulatory barriers, and this is basically the president saying that any regulation that is going to impede the entry to or discourages competition within the American marketplace, you're gone. Get out of here. Like Gabriel Susan Lewis, Trump doesn't want any red tape on his junk when it comes to the American marketplace. That's what it is. That's what it is. Those are the facts. Zero-based regulatory budgeting to unleash American energy. This is actually pretty interesting. Something that I never really thought about. Basically, this names specific agencies that have to put sunset dates or dates where the regulation is no longer effective on all regulations established under certain laws that are also named in the executive order, mainly concerning energy production. So the regulation will automatically be deleted or not be in effect anymore unless the public determines that it still has, what do they call it? Unless the regulation is proven to still be helpful after public input and deliberation. So basically, they're doing across the board, this is when these are going to be not effective. If you think it's really effective, we're going to go to the public, we're going to debate, and we'll keep the ones that we think are still effective. It's kind of just an interesting little behind-the-scenes look there. Presidential memorandum directing repeal of unlawful regulations. This is pretty simple. Basically, he's telling all federal agencies, look at your regulations, and if they are illegal or in a legal murky area, just get rid of it. This is mainly, and it does spell this out in the executive order, that there have been multiple Supreme Court cases that have come down the pike in the past few years that basically, I'm saying the word basically a lot, I know it. Basically, they are saying that these federal agencies do not actually have as much power as they assume that they do, and they need to, in the future, start looking at whether the powers that they are assuming are legally backed, and if not, we're getting rid of them. So, yeah. People and companies, next section here. Executive order addressing risks from Chris Krebs and government censorship. I had never heard of Chris Krebs. Apparently, he's the former head of Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, and he and the agency will now be investigated to see if they unlawfully censored political speech and violated the First Amendment. Basically, this seems like the person where the buck stops for the accusations of, meddling in social media, censoring COVID information, and things like, just censoring the Hunter Biden laptop and all those things that certain individuals have been accused of over the past few years. And now there's going to be an investigation. So hopefully we find out whether that is accurate or not. Presidential memorandum addressing risks from Susan Godfrey. Susan Godfrey is a law firm accused of undermining elections, promoting radical ideologies in the military, and engaging in racial discrimination. So basically, all their security clearances and federal contracts are going to be under review, and yeah, that's what's happening. Last one here, addressing risks associated with an egregious leaker and disseminator of falsehoods. This is about a nice chap named Miles Taylor, who is a former chief of Homeland Security, actually under the Bush administration and the first Trump administration, which was kind of interesting. But basically, he's accused of publishing a book where he is unleashing classified and sensitive information for profit. And he's being accused of basically publishing this book under an anonymous name and profiting from state secrets, basically. Treason, some have called it. Treason, some have called it. All right. That was interesting. I don't know if, we're going to wrap it up. That was quite interesting. All right. The wrap up, I just wanted to say a few other things. You had the executive order with the shower heads and the water pressure. Basically, this wasn't so much geared toward shower heads and regulations. Water pressure is basically a symbolic order that is supposed to highlight the amount of regulations. I think there's 13,000 words being used to define what a shower head is. So it was more of a way of this administration saying, hey, there's all these federal regulations. Like, why do we need these? It's crazy. Also, National Crime Victim Rights Week, National Former Prisoner of War Recognition Day, and Education and Sharing Day were all established in this past week. Really since Wednesday, because at that point I did not want to make any more videos that were just text because my fingers hurt and I got carpal tunnel. So I hope this was informative. Obviously, this is my first one. It's going to be terrible. I know that. I realize that going into it. But hopefully, if you guys want to hear anything, you guys want to know anything, I'm also planning on doing some general breakdowns of world events, historical facts, stuff like that. So if you want to hear anything or have any criticism, constructive or otherwise, about my current performance, let me know. And this has been Logic News Episode 1. Let's go! Yeah!